Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Tampa Bay Real Producers Podcast. This, of course, is the podcast that is made for real producers, by real producers, and with none other than real producers and the partners of Tampa Bay Real Producers. This is part of our partner series today with one of our partners, Team Katie, the mortgage lady, right?
Yay!
Katie Weldon is in the house. Excited to have you here, Katie.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm excited to kind of dive into your story a little bit more, and for people who might not have met Katie yet, get you kind of out there so people know who you are.
Thank you.
Katie has come here from Massachusetts not that long ago.
Yes.
So we're going to start with that. We'll start with your background.
Okay.
What brought you to Florida? Let's tell people a little bit more about that. And
Sure.
How did you get yourself hooked up in the whole crazy world of lending?
All right. So I have a background in hospitality and sales I did copier sales with Xerox. My father was a real estate agent, and he still is actually. And so I kind of got recruited by a local bank. They said, hey, we love the skills that you have. We're looking to train someone from the ground up. And I said, why not? Mm-hmm. I was about to get married that fall. I knew I wanted to have kids, and I thought this could be great for flexibility, right? To kind of be working around my own schedule. I can be at a soccer game if I want to in the future. So I thought now's the time to make this type of change. And it wasn't what I expected at all. But it was far better than I could have ever imagined. So
this was in Massachusetts,
this was
right?
in Massachusetts for a local bank there.
And when did you get started?
It was a little over 10 years ago, July of 2013.
Okay.
And they just trained me from the ground up. And I had roots in the community. So I just was very active in our local realtor association, did a lot of volunteering with them, was business partner director, very involved in committees, and just really sunk my teeth into the real estate community there.
Yep.
And just formed partnerships very naturally. Mm-hmm. And it has grown from there. It's been kind of a crazy
How long
ride.
did it take you to realize this is cool? I actually like this business.
Probably 3.5 years. Yeah, it was at first.
So it wasn't overnight.
No, and it started off where they kind of gave me this guarantee, and I was not earning the guarantee, and I'm like, how do people even make money in this business? I just didn't see it yet. I didn't see just how much potential there was in the mortgage industry, and there's other things I think they learned from training me because I was the first trainee they had. There were things that I needed to know to be successful that they didn't realize were part of it, I guess. Yeah. So it was a lot of soul searching and a lot of stuff on my own. I hired a coach to help me learn and how to interact with realtors and what's the best way to do things and what are your templates that you use and stuff like that.
Nice. So you invested in the program in your business.
Yeah, and that helped take me to the next level for sure. And then I also partnered with a couple high producers when I went to a mortgage company, mm-hmm. which was awesome. That was a little over 6 years ago. Mm-hmm. That's really what took me to the next level too, is being around people who produced more.
Sure.
Because I didn't realize that was possible in the smaller setting that I was part of, because
mm-hmm.
They didn't do as much volume. They couldn't handle as much volume. That wasn't what they were setting out to do.
Yep.
So I partnered with two badass mortgage ladies mm-hmm. At a small mortgage company in Massachusetts. And that's really where the growth started kind of exploding, which was awesome. And it's been 6 years since I partnered with them. I've moved companies about 5 years ago. And I have so much support. I treat it like my own business, mm-hmm. even though I work with a company. It's great to have the partnership and the support in the background, the resources of a bigger company, but still be able to treat it like my own and be so mobile.
And the company is Total, is that right?
Total Mortgage.
Total Mortgage.
Yep.
They're national?
They are almost national. I think 48 states they're licensed in. They're more of a regional company. They're really based in New England and have roots in Florida as well. Mm-hmm. So they started building in Florida a few years ago. And I kind of moved to Florida on a whim. It was a little bit crazy, if you will, but I started coaching as well as doing mortgages probably a little over 2 years ago.
Coaching lenders.
Coaching lenders, mm-hmm. coaching real estate agents. So really my partners, because my goal was to coach them and help them grow their business, because in turn, that would grow my mortgage practice.
Makes sense, yeah.
So that was something I really started loving doing. And I was attending all these events in Florida. And every time I had to attend an event, let's say it's a 2-day event, I'd be gone for 4 days. 1 day before, 1 day after.
Right. Kind of enjoy the weather while you're down here.
Yeah. Right. And just to get settled and not feel rushed around. So I realized if we lived in Florida, I wouldn't have to travel as much. And I love traveling, but I have a 9-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I missed them. And my husband too, I missed him, and I wanted to be around them more often. And so I just got this vision of, I think Florida would be a great move for me. And I went to school at UMiami for 1 year, and it was a great year, but I ended up back at UMass for financial reasons. And I just always felt the calling to come back here. And so that's what I did. We moved in March.
You guys just pulled the plug and
We
came
just
on
did
down.
it. We just sold our house in Mass and just moved down. And everyone thought we were a little nuts, and that's okay. All the greatest ideas are a little bit nuts, right?
They are. They definitely are.
Yeah, because
What
my
made you
family
pick this
was all
area?
there.
I like Tampa Bay.
I love this side of Florida. So I always thought I would end up in Del Rey or Pompano Beach or Boynton Beach, somewhere around there. I have a best friend who lives over that way. And then I came to this side. I had a couple events in Clearwater, and there was a certain energy about it that felt so much more like home for me that I just said, oh my gosh, this is great.
Yeah.
You know, we're in Ruskin, Florida now. We were in Wesley Chapel right before that. But we're so close to everything. We're close to Tampa. We're close to St. Pete, close to Clearwater. Yeah. You know, we can go to Sarasota. I can go to Naples or Orlando. They're all within driving distance. Yeah. So I really wanted to pick a place where I could travel very easily or attend large events in an easy way. So I kind of tried to pick some place in the middle of all those things.
And you still have a team in Mass, right?
Oh, yeah. Most of my business actually is still in Mass, and I have a team up there. So if someone wants to meet locally, there's people who can meet in our office in central Massachusetts. We have roots in Connecticut as well. We do a lot with the state housing programs there.
Yep.
And we are licensed to do the state programs in Florida as well, which I got my license when I moved down here.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And so your time is focused really in this market, I think, for now, in terms of Florida and your connections and what you're looking to build down in this area.
Yep.
How long were you in the lending business before you started building a team? Was that something you were planning to do from the get-go, or did that happen just...
It kind of happened organically. I just started doing so much volume that I couldn't handle it on my own. I started kind of doing a disservice to my clients because there's just only so much you can do when it's just you. And so I started by adding people in the background, and then I realized that there were certain things I was better at than others. And so I started building the team to help with the actual origination piece, which is awesome because right now I'm doing this podcast, which is amazing. And I love talking about what we do, but that means I'm not available. So I need to make sure someone else is.
Yep. And your team that you have really that has been, I guess, mass focused also could help with the Florida transactions and Florida business.
100%. So I would say the last time I met with a client in person, maybe 3 years ago. It's just, and we have people who can meet with them in person, either down here or up there, but that most people do things electronically. They don't actually want to meet.
Right.
Because they're busy with their schedules. They're calling you after work. They don't want to drive somewhere. So I find clients actually appreciate how easy it is to work with us electronically and virtually.
Yeah.
And I'll do a Zoom with someone if they want to see me. Like I said, we have options for face-to-face. It's just not the norm. Ever since COVID, our business pretty much went 100% online because we had to at that point.
Makes sense. I guess we all had to there for a little bit.
Up north was a lot more strict too.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know, you guys opened up a lot.
We still believe in freedom down here a little bit.
Yeah, thank you. And that was another reason, right? There was a lot of reasons that, or a lot of, I guess, compensating factors to moving down here. That was one of them.
What's your experience been like since you got down here? In terms of the transition and trying to get the business off the ground and getting your network flowing and
so
all that.
I truly haven't done tons with my business down here yet. I just moved to Ruskin on Monday, and so I didn't know where I was going to end up, and I didn't really put down roots yet till I knew that. So now I'm hitting the ground running. But I've made a few connections here and there, but I haven't really tried much either.
Right.
So I'm really looking forward to getting involved in the community and doing a lot with the Greater Tampa Association of Realtors. I'm going to be volunteering with my daughter once a week. We're trying to figure out where to volunteer. So if anyone out there has volunteer ideas in Tampa with a young child, that would be great.
Yeah, we could definitely hook you up with some agents that are very active in various things.
Yeah, because we're homeschooling now that we moved, and part of our kind of homeschooling track, or I guess she's going to have a course in volunteering, kind of getting back to the community, and that's something I want to do with her. Because it's just...
And we met your daughter on her birthday.
Yeah.
She came to our masquerade party.
She was such a superstar
She was
that
really
night.
cute. That was awesome.
And it was definitely one of those core moments that you remember as a kid that I know she's going to be 27 and be like, Mom, remember when I was...
How come you didn't bring me to more parties like that?
She's already asked. Well, she was very upset she couldn't go to the Christmas party. I think that was probably better off that she didn't. But I said, it wouldn't be as special if you did. But,
if you came to all of them, that's right.
Oh, yeah, and she still tells everyone about the gift card she got as a gift, too.
That's
because
cute.
there was an agent, I think, who was nice enough to...
Well, Lori from Milestone.
Lori.
Yeah.
Yes, Lori from Milestone.
Shout out to Milestone, Tony and Lori over there.
Oh my gosh, she was amazing. She still talks about it, and she still has money on that. She refuses to spend it. She's waiting for the right thing. So she's like, I have $100 in Amazon. I'm like, great. That's fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so she was very excited about that. But we're building roots down here and just starting to get more involved. And
what type of agents do you love working with? What are some things that you look for and just that make great relationships for your business?
Yeah, I love working with people who also have teams because they get the value of not necessarily me doing the pre-approval. I love working with new agents as well, but they get used to me and they want me to handle everything, and that's not how we do business.
Sure.
I get involved if I need to. I'll get the second set of eyes on it on my own time, but we're efficient as a team because we have multiple members. And so those are the types of agents I love to partner with because they see the value.
They understand that.
Yeah, they see the bigger picture too. There's a lot of little things we can help coach their teammates on, or I should say the people who are underneath them, their newer agents that they're bringing on. There's a lot of little pieces, especially with words, that I focus on with new agents. Like the word if, for example. That's a big one that new agents may use. Like, oh, well, if you work with us. It's like, no. When you work with us.
Right.
Yeah, little things that a new agent would never even think of.
Setting the right expectations.
Yeah.
Do you still do coaching?
I do, yes. I still do coaching. I have a group on Facebook called the Katie Collective that I go live in once a week and just give little tidbits. And then once a month, I do a class. So I just started this group less than a month ago. So my first class is... So if you're seeing this live, I guess before this is released on the podcast, I have a class coming up this month about 7 steps towards creating your ideal day.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it really for any entrepreneur, it sounds like. It could be for any
100%.
agent, any business owner. Is that
even a mom who works a corporate job who's just trying to figure out how to manage that. It's all great skills that anyone can implement, whether they work a 9-to-5 job or even a stay-at-home mom who just has a vision of more that they want to do.
Yep.
Those resources would be great for them too.
Are most of your clients agents?
Yes, most of my clients for coaching have been in the real estate sector.
Cool.
Yeah.
And is it generally group-based coaching or individualized?
I've done private one-on-one coaching and group coaching as well. I'm going to be launching. So the point of this lesson that I'm going to be teaching is just to get the information out there. But if people want a little bit more, it is going to be leading into 7 ways to create your ideal life. So it's going to break down, instead of the ideal day, how do you really break down your schedule as a whole to create a life?
Look, Katie.
Oh, I love it. I didn't even think of that. But
might need to be a book. I don't know.
Okay, well, a book is on my agenda for this year, so this is great.
I think you have your title.
Okay, I love it.
That's definitely sellable, I would imagine.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
See? Oh my God. Oh, I can leave now.
That was it. There
Thank
you go.
you.
Boom. Now you got your idea.
Yeah. I just was featured in a book called Messy Messages from Millionaires, which was awesome.
Yeah, you gifted that to us. We appreciate it. Yes.
Awesome.
Well, I haven't read it yet, but it's on my list.
Okay, good.
Yes.
It's just really easy, digestible pieces. And that's what I plan to write with the book too is, okay, how do we break this down so it's really easy for someone to digest and implement?
Right. What do you think are some specific things that agents maybe there's misnomers out there that you've seen over your years revolving around the lending space, right?
Yep.
That agents have misconceptions that they believe in some way, or just anything you feel like would be important for them to be aware of, maybe even in this market, if it's market specific?
Yeah. So for newer agents, I find that some of them feel like they're doing a disservice to their clients if they have a higher rate, but they're actually not looking at the terms of everything together, because I could charge someone $10,000 and give them a lower rate, but that might not necessarily be best for their situation. Right. So a newer agent coming in, they think rate is the number one thing, and they're going to be burned a little bit because, like I said, I could give someone the best rate, but that might not be what makes sense for them.
Yep.
Or that might cost
because
them
the
more
origination
in the long run.
cost and all that stuff built in.
Yeah, or it might not be the best program. Like FHA loans, those are backed by government. They could have a better rate than a conventional loan, but that might limit the property. That might give them more a higher mortgage insurance rate or something like that. So overall higher payment. So that's one big misnomer that people believe. okay, well, if I can offer a lower rate, then that's a better lender. Not necessarily. You know, I do believe you want to find a competitive lender because some are more competitive than others, but rate should not be the focus because that's not, we take a really consultative approach because we want to make sure that we're putting our client in the right position for the long term. And so some of them, let's say they have a lot of money up front from the sale of a house, but they're really worried about affording the payment. There's a balance of making sure they have enough reserves left for things that come up with the house, because if that payment is a stretch and now they're not saving,
Right.
they're not going to be able to fix the house or pay for the house if something comes up.
Right.
And so I'm always looking at a balance of those things based on their situation.
Makes sense.
We want sustainable home ownership. I don't want someone calling me in 6 months saying, Katie, I can't pay my bills. Who do I call? What do I do?
Right. And so when you say rate should not be the main focus, is there something else that you think should be the most? Is it the consultative approach that you just described that you feel like
I
is
think so. We focus not only on what they're approved for, but also what's comfortable for them. So I actually don't tell people what they're approved for until they tell me if they're budget conscious. Some people aren't. Some people, it's like they don't care what the price of the house is. It's more finding something that fits their exact needs. And so that's just a question I start with. Is budget really important to you monthly, or is that something that's not as big of a deal?
Right.
You know, some of my clients don't care, and it's really about making sure the house is worth what they're paying, right? They might not want to pay $5,000 a month, but for the right house, they would.
Right.
But I have other clients, especially first-time buyers, and it's like, I can't afford more than $2,500 a month. That is where I'm maxed out. That's where I feel comfortable. And so rather than saying, great, you're approved for $600,000, it's like, okay, well, what matches up with that payment? And where does that put you based on what you're looking at, where you're looking for a property? It's something really small, but I can't tell you how many agents I've seen post in like a real estate mastermind group, and they're like, why aren't lenders telling people the cost of the house before we're under agreement? So what's happening is people are getting pre-approved for the amount that they're pre-approved for, and then they're finding a house, and then they're going under agreement. Now they're buying it, and they get all their loan disclosures, and they're like, wait, I can't afford $4,000 a month. That's what this is? Because no one ever talked to them. So we make sure they understand the payment, they understand what they're bringing to closing, and that they're comfortable with those terms, because
Before they get too deep into it.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Nothing is worse than looking for 4 months, finding your dream house, and then having someone tell you what the price is and they never did before.
Right. No, that makes all the sense in the world. Working backwards, I think, identifying that
And it's
first.
very easy to include in the process. So that's just something we do on our calls. Like
Right.
It's included in the process. It's not extra. It's a question we ask as
Yeah.
part of our kind of list of questions to make sure we touch upon.
Are there some best practices that you've experienced in working with agents, like things that you've seen them do that have made the process go really smooth?
Yeah.
Compared to maybe the opposite, where some things that they've done that have
So-
hindered the process?
Yes, there's a lot of things, but I'll mention a couple. One of them is just responsiveness. I feel like everyone thinks, oh, well, this is my personal time, this is my work time, and I totally get that. However, my belief in what's made me successful is just responding as quickly as I can to at least set up a time to go over it. So obviously right now I'm in a podcast, I'm not answering my phone, but after I get out, I'll get back to people and I'll schedule a time. So let's say I'm on my way to church. Obviously I'm not going to necessarily take a call with a client, but I will text them back and be like, oh, let's talk about this. Are you available at 3:00 today? Or what's your schedule like tomorrow? If Sunday is my day to have just with my family and I'm trying to minimize, and I'm not saying that's how I do business, but I totally understand that balance. If people have those days,
Don't
they
leave people
absolutely
hanging or
wanna
just
shut-
wondering.
Yes.
Right.
If they have those days that they want to themselves, absolutely, I'm all for it. But I do believe that just by being responsive, you will retain a lot more clients and you will get a lot more clients, because what happens is everyone's used to something so instant right now. You know, you go online, you apply on Rocket Mortgage, and you get a pre-approval in 10 minutes, right? So if they message you and you're not responding, they're messaging someone else.
Yeah.
And if you are already working with them and they message you and you don't respond and it takes a while, they're thinking about working with someone else. And so for a newer agent, I just urge you just to get back to people quickly. It doesn't mean you have to drop everything right then and take a whole meeting,
Right.
but set something up.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Show that you're paying attention.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And no offense to Florida, but it's something I haven't seen as much here, you know?
I mean,
and
people
I'm
are a little slower in Florida
it's just a
than
little slower
Massachusetts.
paced. And I do believe that being fast paced is what makes me successful because it keeps the momentum going and
Yeah.
it keeps you excited. Clients can feel that energy. I'm big on energy. And it just, to me, you're setting yourself up for more success.
I get it.
You know,
Anything else?
The other thing is making a schedule. So I find a lot of realtors they're very willy-nilly with their schedule, especially with meetings. Like they might set a meeting with me or plan to attend a training, and then someone wants to see a house and they drop everything. But a couple things. One, if you're busy and people know you're busy and worth it, they will wait to see you.
Yeah.
You know,
They respect you more.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
If I'm waiting to see a specialist for a doctor who's one of the best in the country, I will take whatever time he has, even if it's in 3 months, if I need him.
Right.
You know, and I'm not saying that you should put people off that much, but it's okay to say, I'm already tied up at that time, but can you? But I find a lot of agents, they worry that they're going to lose someone. And so they don't go to the things that are important to growing their business, like a training or, you know, meeting with a partner or something similar.
Yeah. No, that's good
Something
stuff.
with their kids.
I could see that coach coming out of you right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I think that's an important piece to have is just like honoring your schedule. It's so important.
Right.
And that's one of the things I talk about in my 7 steps to creating your ideal day is really honoring what you've put together. Because when you have things in your schedule that you constantly aren't attending, there's an energy behind it that you're going to feel. And it almost feels like judgment and disappointment because you're missing doing the thing you said you were going to do.
Yeah.
And when you stick to it, it's effortless.
Yeah. There's
And
also a
it's easy to
power
schedule.
in what's called completion.
Yes, 100%, because you're doing what you said you were going to do.
Yeah.
And clients respect that. They don't want someone who's available at their beck and call. They want someone who does a good job.
Totally. Yeah, I agree. And it's funny because these are basic things that I think we've all heard, and some people that were just great at executing and others really aren't or struggle with that part of the business. And I think there's a cool exercise that I've had some of my coaching clients do, and I've done it myself, which is just like a time inventory.
Yeah, that's
sheet
one
before.
of the steps.
Yeah, it's very
You have to
basic stuff,
inventory where
right?
you're spending
But actually
your time.
tracking like how much of your time is really dedicated to revenue generating activities versus just busy stuff, right?
Yep.
And it's kind of a pain in the ass to do it. Most people don't want to take the time to actually like track that. But man, it's really, every time I've done it, no matter how evolved I feel like I get in my business, it's eye-opening where time really goes.
Yep, I agree. And I find gaps in my schedule all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like finding gold or money in your couch cushion. It's like, oh my God, this is awesome.
Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah. And I think the thing that happens with realtors especially is a lot of people, when they're getting into the business, they choose it because of its flexibility, but they have to still have things that are more concise and things that are more, I'm trying to think of the word. I'm drawing a blank on it, but like having a plan, right? You still need a plan. It's great that you can do whatever you want with your day, but if you're at TJ Maxx for 2 hours on a
It needs some
Tuesday-
structure.
Yeah, structure. Well, I don't know why I was blanking on that word.
Right.
We just talked about it, but the flexibility of real estate in itself means that you have to take the structure into your own control.
Right. One of my mentors used to always preach to me the concept that you're either going to be disciplined enough that you can create your own schedule and actually do it, or you're going to end up working for somebody else who creates a schedule and hires you to do it.
Yeah,
Right.
I love that.
And so that's
I have
really
no
how we all
interest in
kind
doing
of
that for someone else.
exactly.
Now, once you figure it out,
That's the
on your own.
reality of the world. And,
Yeah.
you know, let's be real. In the real estate world, there are so many agents out there. I mean, we just got our new list for this year, and I always study the data and look at the numbers. And we, with Real Producers, Tampa Bay Real Producers, we focus on the top 500.
Yep.
But there's 17,000 agents out there in Tampa Bay alone who did at least one deal last year, just under 17,000 in the 3 counties. And most of them, if you look from 501 to 17,000 on the list, they average 5 transactions per agent for that big group. If you look at the top 500, they average 55 per agent.
Yep.
And then the volume numbers, of course, speak for themselves. And so it's funny when you think about what are the habits that the top 500 have that the rest maybe are not implementing. And a lot of it is just this basic stuff.
Yeah.
Schedule
And
management,
people think it's
execution.
so much harder.
Right. It's not any magical listing presentation.
It's actually a lot easier to be busy and to be more successful.
Yeah, no doubt.
People make it hard on themselves because they kind of overthink it.
No doubt. I completely agree. I feel like we can spend a whole podcast just talking about coaching elements because there's a lot there.
Yes.
And I know that we both have appointments at 12, so we're gonna pivot from there. But I think that'd be worth a conversation for someone to even reach out to you and talk some more about these different principles. So, is there anything else you feel like is relevant from a lending finance side, whether it's market specific or just timing specific, that you think you want to get out there at all for now?
I think the other thing to look for when you're working with a partner is you want to find someone who's willing to do the hard things sometimes, because we can all get these loans that are super easy and fly through, but who are you going to get that is, I just recently had someone who had to pay off all this debt. They had to sell 2 houses to buy this current house, and 4 other lenders had turned them down. And so you have to have someone who's willing to I love a good puzzle, escape rooms, all that stuff.
Roll your sleeves up and get dirty.
Yeah. And so for me, it's a fun challenge. I'm like, I just get an instinct about it too. So I'm like, we can totally do this. And I told everyone, hey, listen, this is a Hail Mary, but they knew the sellers and the buyers were okay with waiting. And I said, this is a Hail Mary, and we closed it.
Yeah.
And so having someone.
Is that what you think, Katie, I was going to ask you, what do you think separates working with a specialist or a professional like you are and you've built your brand versus a Rocket Mortgage, like you mentioned earlier, you can get a quote in 3 minutes, right? Online.
Yep.
What do you think are the real differences between those experiences? Is it kind of what you just described?
Well, the consultative part, Rocket Mortgage isn't talking to you about what your payment's going to be and making sure you're comfortable with it.
Yeah.
I can almost assure you. There could be a lender with Rocket here and there that do that, but in general, that's not something that they pride themselves on.
Right.
We do a lot of takeovers too, so we tend to get the loans that are falling apart at other places. So if any realtors out there, I'm going to put a shameless plug a little bit. If you have a deal falling apart with another lender, it got that far for a reason. We love to take them over. We could close it in 7 business days. That's the required time frame from when you send out disclosures to closing. We love those because if they got so far that they're a week from closing and then it falls apart, we know the problem.
Yeah.
And I'll know within 24 hours, less than that, can we take this over and revive it? Yeah. And so many people let those fall apart.
Don't underestimate how many deals do fall apart. I think that's a number people don't.
And everyone thinks it's okay.
I don't know how factual this quote is, but from what I've been exposed to, I've heard as many as 50% of deals never make it to the closing table, right? Fall apart at some point.
Yeah, and it's mind-blowing to me how many sellers agents don't say, can we get a second opinion on this? Because what do you have to lose? 1 day of making sure that there's nothing else you can do? Because I can tell you, I've sometimes had those clients come to me after and they're like, we were under agreement on a house, but we couldn't buy it because of this. And I said, that wouldn't have been an issue with us.
Right.
Because some lenders have what's called overlays, which are extra requirements. We don't have any extra requirements. It's all bare minimum based on guidelines. There's also different interpretations of certain things. And I always focus on, okay, what's the guideline and can this match up with what the guideline is and what it says? And what's my presentation of that as well? So I'm always thinking of things like that other lenders might not be. They're looking at it one way. We're looking at the same book, but 2 different sides, right? One might be black, one might be gold. And they're saying, but these are black. And I'm saying it's gold. I'm on the other side. Right? Just got to flip it around a little bit and look at it from a different direction.
Yeah.
So anyone who has deals that fall apart, please don't let them do that. If the buyer is willing to get a second opinion, it literally takes less than 24 hours for us to figure out, does this make sense to move forward or do we just move on?
Yeah, it also speaks to why it's important to have multiple lender partners, right? To just know that you have certain people that can do even just little things differently that might be able to be the little thing you needed to get it to the finish line, right?
Yeah.
So,
and I'm not saying a deal doesn't fall apart sometimes with finding out something or that you weren't expecting or someone gets laid off. There's very legitimate reasons here and there. But I want to say our fall through rate was like 1% or 2%. It was so low compared to what we do for volume. It doesn't make any sense to have this many in the marketplace falling apart. Yeah,
no doubt. Well, there's no shortage of people that are out there offering lending options. So I can understand why if you're talking to someone who might not have all the options at their disposal. And then if you don't get a second opinion, it is what it is, right?
Yep.
So I want to transition to tell the audience a little bit more about just who you are personally as well for some time, the time we have remaining.
Sure.
And so for people, again, who maybe don't know you yet, get to know you a little bit better, what are some things that you just love to do, hobbies, interests with your kids, with your family? What do you got? Are you enjoying Florida now that you're living down here?
Yeah,
What keeps you busy?
Florida. So I've been doing a 2-mile walk a day. I'm working on my health journey right now. So I started with 1 mile and then did 1.5 miles, then 1.5 miles and 2, rotating now up to 2 a day, which is awesome. I post on Instagram just a selfie of me kind of walking through my neighborhood. I have a fitness coach who helps me as well. So that's been a huge part of what I do right now. We're homeschooling our daughter who's 9. And we have an au pair who's helping with that, which has been really fun.
We homeschool as well. Week. I know we talked about that.
Yeah, she's loving it. We're using Excellis Academy right now. And there's a lot of different out there that we're checking out, but that's one she loved the most. So we're starting there. And it's just really fun to see her be so excited about something. She was creating circuits the other day, and she's like, "Mom, check out this circuit I made." I don't remember the last time she came home from school and was talking about how exciting something she learned was. So it was nice to see.
Does she like living in Florida now?
She loves it.
Does she?
Yes.
Yeah. Doesn't miss Massachusetts much, huh?
No, we haven't done much
This is not the time of year to really miss Massachusetts. It's a little chilly up there.
It has been chilly right now.
It has been. But it's not Massachusetts chilly. But
no, it's not. It's not Massachusetts chilly.
Yes.
We just got, our old house just got 17 inches of snow last week.
Yeah, they got hammered recently.
I'm like, put that on the list of things I do not miss about Massachusetts. So, so we love that. My husband and I like to do date nights once a week. So we're checking out lots of different things in Tampa. We love escape rooms. We would love to start doing dance lessons. I think it would be really fun.
That's cool.
Just to
salsa, waltz. What are you into?
I would love salsa. That would be really fun.
That's the fun dance, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, just a little like Latin flair.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I know you're into like different coaching programs. You already mentioned your own, but we talked about you a part of what's the name of that group again that you go to?
Oh, Board of Advisors.
The Board of Advisors.
So Board of Advisors is out of Tampa now, and it's a high-level mastermind. People from all over the country, and just the quality of people in the group are just incredible. A lot
entrepreneurs, most of them, right?
Most of them are entrepreneurs. A lot of them have had big exits from selling companies, and they're looking for the next thing. They're just a lot of partners, a lot of resources. So if you're an entrepreneur in the Tampa area, I would love for you to be my guest. We're going to be meeting February, I want to say the second week of February, so maybe like the week of the 11th. I'm not.
And you do them quarterly, I think, right?
I do quarterly meetings, yep. And it's been such a valuable group. And what's crazy is I joined the group before moving down here, so it was just very serendipitous that now I was down here and able to make connections before I moved.
Yeah,
so
that's perfect.
Awesome.
No, it sounds like a great group. I know Kevin Harrington, I think you said, was a part of that or is a member of it. I know he's a pretty big name here in Tampa Bay area and St. Pete. And I know there's there's a good track record of people that are involved with it and success. So I wanted to get that out there.
And it just keeps me accountable. I really like to revisit my goals every 3 months.
Yep.
So it's just a really good way to rev things up, because when you go to these events and you're around all these people, your brain explodes, you get excited, and it's just a way to keep that momentum throughout the year.
No doubt. Accountability is huge.
Yep.
Do you have a favorite sports team?
I'm Boston Red Sox and the Patriots right now.
I'm a New York guy, so we got issues.
Yeah, my husband's a Giants fan, huge Giants fan.
Yes.
So
that's why I like him.
I know, right?
Yeah, we have some work to do, but I like him.
Hey, I grew up in Massachusetts, huge Pats fan.
I respect that. I get it.
We watched the games all the time, and it's
you have any thoughts on Bill Belichick on now after 24 years?
I think it's the right move. I think everyone or most people would agree with that.
Yes.
You know, every season has its end.
Yeah.
And I think
24 years is a long time.
I think actually maybe a little too long.
Yes. The last couple of years have been a little rough up there.
Yeah.
But,
and I mean,
they just announced their new coach this morning, I think, actually.
Oh, really? I didn't
Mayo.
see who it was.
They brought one of their
I'm
assistants.
not like a diehard fan. I like to watch it on Sundays
right.
with a bunch of appetizers, laughing and just like having a good time.
So the way to get to your heart, though, is the Massachusetts sports teams are still in the blood.
Yeah, so strong. It could change. I know. And I was a huge Tom Brady fan just because how can you not be a fan?
Well, there's a lot of fans here in Tampa of his, too. That makes sense.
And he was on the team I love. And he just, to me, he's a true example of like the fact that you don't need to be born into a certain set of skills.
Totally.
to be successful.
His story is inspiring.
Yes.
But no doubt. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, drafted in the 6th round.
I know, like an underdog. Just
the greatest ever now.
And the energy he brought to the team, like the collaboration, from what I hear, it was just incredible.
Yeah. The leadership skills came out.
Yeah. And I do a lot of things with other mortgage people too. Some people think, why would you want to be friends with other mortgage people? They're your competition, and I don't look at it that way.
Right.
I believe that competition happens at the bottom, collaboration happens at the top.
Amen.
And so that's the other thing. If you're a lender in the area and you're looking for partnerships with other lenders, people to meet on a regular basis, I would love to make more connections that way as well.
No doubt.
That was something I had up north. I could always refer something that we couldn't do, whether, we can do a home equity, but like a local bank might do it better. So I love to have those resources for my clients to say, listen, we offer it. It's not our bread and butter. Here's who to call. And then, if you want to refinance or purchase again, give me a call.
Well, we believe in collaboration here. There's no doubt about that.
Yes, you do.
Very much part of our culture with Real Producers. Yep. Amen to that. So a couple rapid fire things as we put a bow on the episode here for you. But do you have a favorite book or author or seminar that has made a huge impact on you?
Yeah. So one, the Hay House. Hay House is a publisher. So they have a lot of books. Mel Robbins, Jim Quick are some of their authors. Gabby Bernstein. I went to their convention in Tampa this year, and it changed my life. And the reason was I asked a question in the audience. I said, what's the difference between your intuition and your ego, basically talking? And they said, your intuition will come back over and over again. And I personally think it's God speaking to me as well. But what came to my mind is, you want to quit drinking, you need to quit drinking. And for me, drinking, I didn't have necessarily a problem with it, I guess, according to society standards, but for me, it wasn't serving me any longer. And so I quit drinking that day, haven't drank since. That was May 19th. So that would be my favorite event. I would hands down recommend it to anybody. There was a lot of little nuggets I take, but for me, that was life-changing. And then the best book,
I can relate to that. I committed to that this year.
You did?
For 2024,
Oh my gosh, congratulations.
Yeah, no doubt. Same thing. I don't feel like I had a problem with it, but I just didn't think it was serving me. So I figured.
And I felt like I did it randomly, even when I didn't want to. Like if I was at the masquerade party, I would have normally been drinking.
Right.
Out to lunch with a realtor, I would have had a drink.
Yeah.
So there was just a lot of times I drank that necessarily. It's not that I did or didn't want to. I just felt like that's what you do.
Yeah.
So it's been an interesting transition. But my favorite book is The Power by Rhonda Byrne. She wrote The Secret. So I recommend you read The Secret first and The Power next. But it talks about how so the whole point behind The Secret is, are you acting kind of as if, right? So for example, I was reading The Secret when I met my husband, and before I read the book, I was sleeping in the middle of the bed, which sounds silly. I was single, whatever. I slept in the middle of the bed. But it told me to, if you want someone on the other side, you really need
practice
to be
moving over.
One side, right? And so I started sleeping on one side of the bed, and it's just...
That's funny.
Like, it's a random little thing. But The Power talks about how there needs to be love and gratitude also behind what you want, right? So it's an energy behind it more than just a thought.
Yeah.
But I think also being prepared, if you have a goal to go out of the country, right? Oh, my dream this year is to go to Amsterdam, but you don't have a passport. Are you really preparing yourself for that dream?
Right.
And so there's a lot of little tidbits in both The Secret and The Power by Rhonda Byrne. I
haven't heard of The Power. I've read The Secret and saw the video and all that stuff.
The Power,
but I
have loved it. And I love the Audible because
I like the manifestation that you're talking about.
Yeah, I think she's Australian, but she has a really cool voice. Some people love it. Some people hate it. I love it. I love her voice. I could listen to her all day long.
Very cool. Yeah. I love it.
Thank you.
All right, we're out of time, but I want to ask you this last question in terms of, I always think it's fascinating to kind of have a perspective where you think about what you'd want to be most remembered for, right? The legacy question is how I phrase it. So, when your lending time is done, whenever that may be, hopefully many, many years from now, whether it's professionally or even personally, like what do you think matters most to you, Katie, in terms of what you would want to be most remembered for?
So I've thought about that question, and it's hard to put into words, but what I think of is, let's say people were at my funeral. I want everyone to have like a core memory of me. And what I mean by that is this one moment with me that changed their life. Oh my gosh, I remember this one time I was sitting with Katie and she said this, and it absolutely changed
or this
my
coaching
life.
call or this other thing that you were invited to.
Like, I truly want that with everyone I interact with.
That's neat. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
because those are the experiences is what we really do remember, right?
Yeah, I want to have that impact where someone says, "I'm so grateful to have known Katie."
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. If someone wanted to pick your brain, whether it's a lender partner, whether it's an agent, whoever it may be, who wants to just talk to you more about your background, your coaching expertise, lending in general, what's the best way to do it?
So either Facebook or Instagram. I'm big on both of them, but Facebook is Katie Weldon, KatieWeldon. And at Instagram, I'm at the Coach Katie. So TheCoachKatie.
Awesome. We'll get that up on the description too, on the YouTube channel.
Perfect.
And on all of the other platforms that this shows up in.
Awesome.
So we're going to end the episode the way we always do, with a challenge. And there was a lot of content that we were able to dive into, even in a shorter time that we had, and so we'll have to have Katie back to even dive into deeper about some of the coaching principles that I know I can talk to you for a long time about. But maybe there's one thing that you heard today, whether it's, do a time inventory checklist, focus on being able to identify your, I wrote down, what was it? Being responsive, right? The responsiveness tip that Katie shared, or possibly it's more about just committing to your schedule. Or maybe you just need to look up one of the books or the seminars or something that Katie brought out there. But if you don't take the time to actually take an action step, a lot of times you're going to forget whatever insights you might have had from watching this live stream or watching the podcast. So I encourage everybody to take one action step that can move you forward professionally or personally based on this conversation today. And if you do that, then I promise you, then this time would be worth it that you invested in the podcast. So we will, of course, see you on the next episode of Tampa Bay Real Producers. Stay classy. We'll see you there.